Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? So, I'm on my website right now. I wanted to discuss my PIP goals and some resources and ideas learned from the course. So, this is me. Um, Here's my website right here. Created this a long time ago. Haven't used it too much, but I use it a little bit from time to time. So, my first PIP goal is to show I care to the students without losing control of the class and also being able to keep order. So one thing, if I go here, I have info for parents, management tools. One of my resources I really like is this one. It's classroom management. It's this link here. And I like that if it says if a rule is broken, give a small consequence. We don't want to start with a huge consequence because we don't want our students to think our punishments are unfair. We also need to teach our punishments before. So maybe we want to teach the rules and be like, hey, you cannot do this, or you will get a week of punishment, or etc., or you'll get a week of losing recess time, or depending on the grade level and what's an appropriate punishment. You could ask fellow peers, teachers, to see what they think is an appropriate punishment to get an idea. And that's a good way to keep order. And related to my field work, my teacher, she's very nice. She talks about the community. She's friendly with the students. However, if they do act out, she will get stern, and then she'll be nice again. So they know not to mess with her and not to act out in class in a negative connotation. Um, that brings me to being able to diffuse situations when students act out. So, one of my resources here, classroom setup, is having an appropriate classroom setup so students can learn to begin with. Putting students who need the appropriate accommodations, such as seeing in the front row, who cannot see. If they're in the back and they're having trouble seeing, they may act out because they can't learn. They're not in a situation where they can learn. So we as teachers have to look out to avoid the having to diffuse a situation. Our goal is to teach the rules, teach the ideas, and model appropriate behavior so we do not have to be in a situation that requires diffusing a situation. Now, if it does happen, we want to be respectful with our students. We want to show them we care, but we also want to make sure we don't want to, be a pushover to the point where we always send students to the principal office and then they think the principal handles it and not us. So when we can handle a situation, we want to diffuse it in the classroom environment. Which during field work, I learned that some of um, my teacher who I'm working with, Miss E, she was able to diffuse a few situations when students weren't paying attention. She would, or they were starting to almost fight. That's a better example. She would be like, "No fighting. We're here to learn. Let's keep going." And she'd end it right there and then continue on. And that was a good way. It stopped the situation before it could escalate. Because once it escalates too much, sometimes it can be very hard to stop. And this brings me to my last example. We want to have other cultures, my last PIP goal, feel accepted in the classroom environment. So this one, we've talked about multicultural a lot in class, and I didn't really see. My teacher did talk about the community, which is great, but I didn't really see anything else. One thing I would implement, if we go down here to my next goal, having meaning behind the assignment. Here's a link. I'm not going to get into detail. I have a lot more stuff, but we could create word problems that relate to the community in any topic in math. We could create word problems that relate to the community we're teaching in. I'm at NEC right now, so I would, my teacher didn't do this, but I would create word problems that are fun. I would have clear objectives, for that students can meet. There may be a little bit of disequilibrium, but not a crazy amount. And those are my three goals. I just want to make sure I'm going to post three APA format links in a reply, so it won't be directly in this video. Um, I have a lot of resources in mathematics here. I have stuff about behaviorism and other things if you guys want to check it out. I also have you could use a math journal, a blog. We got to be creative, and that's a way. I could also reach my PIP goals by being creative. So I know that this question I need to answer here, and for my goals, I want to keep them just because I am in NEC right now, and that environment is with a lot of older individuals who are there because they're intrinsically motivated to learn. However, when you are in a high school or middle school, sometimes students are required to be there who don't want to, and they don't see the use in the math you are teaching, and that's a different environment, so these goals will have a different effect. And that's the reason I'm going to keep the goals. Now, what I've learned, we watched America and Me. I'm doing the inner city program, and I see a lot of inequalities that persist throughout the schools. And we talked about learned helplessness, how a lot of people experience it because they're told about it. And I think teachers need to learn that, or need to understand that anyone is capable of learning. You just have to make sure you make it interesting, engaging, inspiring, the intrinsic motivation, using extrinsic motivation, and making sure students do not experience learned helplessness, or the ones that do, help them break out of that, which I'm still trying to learn how to do. And yeah, that's what I have right here. I'll post the reply with the three must-read APAs. Please check out my website though. I have a lot of cool things on it. Math, more math related, but there's some other stuff. You can see my lesson plan here. It's on the unit circle and a fun way to teach a topic that's generally taught boringly. All right, thank you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.